Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GA with me, Seamus, Brady and Luke Peyton. And in this video we are going to run through the All-Ireland preliminary quarter-finals from the weekend. We had some huge results, huge upsets in this round once again, Luke. I mean, a great weekend of Gaelic football all around. Obviously we're going to get into the Tailteann Cup semi-finals in another stream as well. But as for the All-Ireland series, I mean, a great weekend of action, pulling up some big results and big talking points.
Yeah, look, and I think it was good to get into this weekend. I think if you look at the tallies of the score lines, I think it's 3 out of the 4 games were 1-point games. So look, that's what you want to see, is competitive football, I suppose, as well. And I suppose after the previous round, like the round robin stage before that as well, we weren't really getting that. We were kind of getting a few kind of damp squibs and stuff as well. So yeah, no, look, I think this kind of weekend marks the start of the championship, really, like the All Ireland stage. This is when it kind of did kick into gear, because like a little bit before that hadn't kind of failed to fully ignite. So yeah, look, I think this was the first weekend of it, really.
Yeah, no, I'm happy enough to agree with you there. We're going to go into the first game then. I think the first question I have about this one, which is Cork 114, Roscommon 16 points from Porky Queeve. The first one I have about this, and like, I don't know how to phrase it without sounding disrespectful, is like, is it a shock? Because a lot of people are saying it is an upset, it is a shock. But this is a Roscommon side that outside of Connacht, like in Connacht, they're unbelievable. Like there's no doubt about that. In Connacht, they're world class. But outside of Connacht, they have yet to get through that glass ceiling. And actually, even though Cork football has been in turmoil for the last 6 or 7 years, they've actually been to a semi-final more recently than Roscommon have. So, like, is it that much of a surprise? Do Cork maybe believe in themselves more when it gets to this time of year than Roscommon do?
It might be, yeah. And look, I think as well what we're seeing is that like it's a long season, that like, and Roscommon have been on the go very, like, since very early in the league. It's largely the same players. I think maybe they might have peaked a little bit early and stuff. They might have peaked for that Mayo win earlier on in the championship. Maybe they got that draw against Dublin, and everything's just been kind of downhill since then as well. It has fallen a little bit flat. So yeah, no, look, I think after the way they started, they'll be disappointed with how this finished up for them here as well. But no, look, I think Cork have progressed nicely as the season's gone on. I think during the league there were some signs they were showing that there was a bit of fear in Cork that maybe they weren't kicking on. But look, as the season's gone on, they've got some absolutely huge results. And if you look at the route that they're taking at the moment as well, they've taken out some big teams here as well to get to where they are. So yeah, look, I think it is a tale of kind of contrasting seasons, I suppose, and it is a bit of a lesson maybe for Roscommon going forward and Davy Burke that yeah, I don't know, maybe did they too much emphasis, I suppose, on the league as well, and that, I don't know, is that can you maintain that level as well? I think this debate is more common in hurling, that teams that go for the league, can they follow it through for the entire summer? Might be a thing for Roscommon because they have fallen fairly flat. Particularly, look, the loss against Kildare, they were deservedly beaten and only lost that by a point. And then I suppose, look, they've lost by a point again. Like, it's not fallen, the arse hasn't fallen out of it completely in any way at all. But these are probably results that they wouldn't have expected a couple of weeks ago anyway, definitely.
Yeah, well, it is a good point that you make about, going up and down. I mean, Roscommon's year has gone up and down now that I look back at it. Like, they started at the top with 3 wins out of 3 in the league. Then they hit a bit of a slump. Then they picked up a win against Donegal on the final day, beat Mayo in the first round of Connacht. Then they lose to Galway. And, then they get a little bit of an up against Dublin, and then it's been down ever since as well. Losing to Kildare, losing to Cork, and getting knocked out of the championship. Like, it is one of those things that, look, didn't mean to say it in any sort of a way, but it's just like Cork did beat Mayo. And, like, then coming into this game, the fact that Cork had them at home, I think there was that, like, sense of an upset on the cards. And we seen it this year, like earlier when Down got Donegal, for example. And there was that sense right out of the gate that this is on. This is definitely within us to win this game. And they did.
Yeah, no, look, absolutely, and they've got players right as well. Like, they've the likes of Stephen Sherlock, etc., have found form. Now, I know the last day out, he found a bit of joy as the impact role as well. But no, like, I think I think Cork, things have kind of fallen into place a little bit for Cork too, and they've found form at the right time here as well. But look, at the end of the day, it's a one-score game, and I suppose Cork just about kind of scrape over the line in the end as well. But these are the games that are there to be won. And then I think the bit that's going to drive Roscommon mad is that, look, in a game when you lose a 1 point game like that as well, if they'd got a previous result as well, that against, if they took their chances against Dublin in that game in Croke Park, or if they don't concede that late score to Kevin Feely as well and they get out of there with a draw, either of those results, and they're playing a home game instead. And look, that's the thing. If you flip that around and that's on the Hyde and Cork are travelling up there as well, that can easily be a 1 point win to Roscommon as well. They're the small margins. And look, when they had the chances in the previous rounds to get the wins and didn't take it, or get a squeaky draw or something like that, and that's kind of came back to bite them a little bit there too now as well. But look, you have to say credit to Cork. They've done it the hard way. They got the results that they needed to get, and like, they were absolutely not easy results whatsoever. So they had to go to a group with Kerry and Mayo in it as well. So they've done it the hard way, and look, they've earned that too. And sure, look, they'll be hoping for a favourable draw in the morning.
Yeah, no, without doubt. I mean, the crucial scores before we move on from the game. Connor Corbett hit the back of the net in the 58th minute to push Cork further ahead in a game where they were in control for long periods. Roscommon roared back in after the Corbett goal. Diarmuid Murtagh hit 3 scores from the 58th minute to the 69th minute as the Roscommon side levelled it up there and then. But a late score from Kevin O'Donovan won it for Cork. And soon after O'Donovan put the ball over the bar, of course, a bit of a sad moment at the end, Enda Smith being sent off. Like, that was just pure frustration. We don't usually see that from him. And yeah, it was just, I think, maybe bad timing as well, because I think like the game wasn't up, and I didn't expect him to lose his cool like that.
Yeah, and I think in a little bit when you see your talisman as well react like that a little bit too, that it's it's a deflating moment as well, I suppose. And yeah, look, you're right in that there was a little bit of time left there as well. Whether it impacts the game, hard to know, isn't it? But like, that's the thing. If your talisman's going off after a moment, kind of a petulance, I suppose, like that as well, where it's a sign of him kind of losing his composure a little bit as well, it's not great impact for the rest of the team around. But like, I think, look, like you said, on the balance of play during the game, who had the fair share of possession as well, justice probably was done a little bit with that, with the late Cork score as well to get the winner. Because look, based on what we saw out there as well, I think with Cork, they deserve to progress on to the next round.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Another side that has progressed to the next round is Monaghan. They beat Kildare by 111 to 13 points in O'Connor Park. Monaghan continue to punch above their weight when you're talking about population size and county size and everything like that, but they're back in the quarterfinals once again. Absolutely outstanding achievement by them once again. Conor McCarthy firing over a last-minute winner for the Monaghan side. McCarthy, of course, got the goal as well for Monaghan, but some rumblings out of the game about questionable refereeing, and straight away I'm just going to throw it to you. Absolutely congratulations to Monaghan for it again, but how legitimate do you think the questions are about the refereeing?
Yeah, look, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. Is that like, yeah, obviously all the clips are doing the rounds online and everything as well of all the certain frees that everybody's saying. And yeah, some of them are, particularly there was one where there was I can't remember the individual who was in question, but it was a Monaghan player running through anyway, lined up anyway, and it was just the Kildare back uses his body anyway to shield him out and kind of push him around as well. And yeah, look, there was no free in it as well. The free was given in as well and stuff as well. But this has become a common theme with Kildare, is that, look, every single time after every single game this year, Glenn Ryan and his coaching team have had an excuse ready to go straight away as well. There can't be an excuse for everything, and you can't be robbed in every single game as well. Is that it comes with it. You can say, yes, some refereeing decisions go with you, some refereeing decisions go against you as well. That's just how football is. And that's
But just on top of that, Luke, like, sorry to cut across you, but I remember literally last year, Monaghan should have had a penalty against Mayo in the last minute of that qualifier. Lee Keegan dragged the Monaghan fella down. Monaghan didn't get given the penalty, and in my opinion, it was a stonewall penalty. And I heard very little complaints out of them.
Yeah, but look, and that's the thing. It's like, it's this sort of thing, is that you can go through any game and you can pick out certain instances and say, no, this is free, not a free as well, and stuff as too. I think we've heard an awful lot from Kildare this year after each games that there's been there's been some sort of kind of point made that we're being treated harshly, we're being treated differently to the rest of the country and everything as well. But like it's no, look, I don't think getting into this habit and this whole thing of after every single game that the referees being questioned after every single game. Like, yeah, of course, if you look through it as well, that they might have been treated harshly in certain situations as well. But you just have to give. That's just how it goes as well. No referee goes out there to say I'm going to rob Kildare today as well. I just truly don't believe that this is a scenario. So yeah, look, they didn't get the rub of the green today. Next year they could entirely get it as well. So that's the thing, is that that's just how football goes. And look, I wouldn't be. Yeah, I think maybe on the day, so those frees, those examples, they're all up on Twitter as well. The people are saying those ones that are being highlighted. Yeah, like either they shouldn't have been frees, or yeah, they should have been frees. Sure, that you can pick all these out, but like at the end of the day, I think Kildare can only control what they can control. And look, they didn't come out on the right side of the results as well. They should be looking at their own performance as well a little bit too, just to make sure so they can decide what they can do better to get to that stage too. So like I think yeah, no, I don't think you can go through a whole year and have complaints about refereeing performances throughout the entire year, or locations or everything like that as well, that you want to play your matches in, all these sort of things too, that like that can't be the answer as to why you lose all the games you've lost this year.
Yeah, no, without doubt, good point. You have a couple of comments in here. She said Monaghan got robbed last year against Mayo and literally nobody talked about it, so fair enough. I mean, yeah, no, completely agree with you. That was the point I was making about the Lee Keegan challenge in the last minute of the game. Then we have another one in here. Monaghan Miners also going well. Correct. Monaghan Miners, of course, into their first All-Ireland final, I believe, since the 1930s at minor level. Absolutely incredible. And this is about your topic, Luke. I agree. Some people are so full of themselves. Refs aren't going out to purposely go against the team. I heard an Antrim man tell me today the only reason they lost was because the refs hate Ulster teams. Yeah, I mean, just there you go. I mean, it's one of those things where if you won, you were fantastic. If you lost, the ref was terrible. So it's one of those things where, like, I haven't heard Kildare complain about the ref in any game that they've won this season. And I get that they don't want to come across as whingers and complainers, but, like, decisions go against teams in every game. But that being said, I have actually heard them at a higher level after this game than I have from other games. But on top of that, look, Monaghan still had to go out there and do their thing. They trailed by 3 points with half an hour left of the game, and they outscored Kildare by 6 points to 2 in the final half hour. Jack McCarran with 3 points, Micheál Bannigan with 3 points throughout the game, Conor McCarthy with 1-2. Those were the guys that made the difference for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and it's the same thing. It's that Monaghan are kind of relying on these fellas to drag them through the whole time as well. It's the same players that have been doing the job for them for the last couple of years too. And yeah, look, Conor McManus has gone on a little bit, so it is good. Like you see, Bannigan's really stepped up into being one of the top Ulster forwards, really. And yeah, just even seeing McCarran stepping up a little bit too as well. Earlier on the season, he picked up a bit of a knock as well. To see him backfiring, Conor McCarthy was all these kind of one of these players that kind of fired a bit hot and cold as well. He's brought that level of consistency that last little while too. So yeah, look, for Monaghan, look, it's job done for them as well. I think I would have fancied them beforehand as well, even despite that they had to play. They didn't have the home advantage anyway, but like I still would have backed Monaghan to get the job done against Kildare. So look, they're true as well. They'll feel like they've bigger fish to fry going forward too, because like this is the thing with Monaghan. They've had these teams that they've beaten, but when they go up against one of the big sides like a Dublin, a Mayo, a Kerry, like can they do it then? Yeah, they've a bit of history in Mayo maybe of doing it, but when it comes to a Dublin or Kerry, I'm not fully sure if they when it gets up to big Croke Park pitches, if they have what it takes. So I think that's what their seasons will probably be judged on. But yeah, look, I suppose that answer's ahead of us.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely see as time goes on. But one team that genuinely tends to blossom when they get to Croke Park has made it to Croke Park again. Tyrone, 118. Donegal, 13 points from McCool Park in Ballybofey. Like, Tyrone are one of those sides, aren't they, Luke? Like, that they can just sneak through the Ulster Championship or sneak through the qualifiers. And then once they get to Croke Park, they just stick their chest out. They know where they are. Now we're here at the business end of the year. And I honestly think they're a match for anyone. When you look at the form of the likes of Darren McCurry, Dara Canavan, 5 points from either of them in this game, Rory Canavan now at 1-1. Like, they're a serious threat for anyone, I think.
Yeah, look, and that's the thing. Is like even this game Saturday night, this game is hidden away in GA Go. Nobody's really talking too much about this game. Like this is the game that probably went a little bit under the radar. The other games you talk about the Monaghan Kildare, that was the game where the refereeing, all the talk about refereeing. Roscommon, you're talking about their kind of fall from grace a little bit from earlier on the season, beating Mayo, and then obviously the Mayo Galway game today. Everyone's talking about because that's the two big ones, but nobody's talking about really about Tyrone and Donegal up here. But that's the thing, Tyrone, you're spot on in the sense that they are just tiptoeing through these games. They're doing what they have to do, and look, I think they're as well. We talked about kind of Cork players finding a bit of form later on the season as well. I think it's the exact same for Tyrone as well. Is that particularly Derek Canavan, his form in the last, I'd say, 2 or 3 matches has just been like sensational. He's been unmarkable in those games, and like all of a sudden, we look at Tyrone teams in previous years. Maybe there was obviously when they win the All Ireland, but before that, questions maybe about their forward line. Always had good defensive structures as well, and always able to keep score lines down. But did they have the forwards? You talk about Rory Canavan coming in, making an impression in there now. Darren McCurry, obviously, as well as always, you can chalk him down for 5 points minimum at the start of every single game. You still have Matty Donnelly contributing as well, Myler, McGeary, all these players in around there too. And I still think as well that they still have arguably the strongest midfield partnership in the country too. So, like, I think they have to be considered dark horses, I think, as well. Can you call a team that won an Ireland 2 years ago dark horses, or are they just definitely contenders? I'm not sure if they're just not being talked about, or where we are a little bit. But no, I think it's impressive enough from Tyrone at the weekend. That was a Donegal team that kind of got a bit of momentum lately too, as well, after previous good results as well in the last in the group stage too. So for them to be emphatic enough like that as well is it's an impressive win. It is a very impressive win, and they fairly dispatched them in the end. So job done for them. And you know what, I think you could nearly say, I think either themselves or Mayo are the team that everyone's going to want to avoid the team that the fourth already kind of the table toppers are going to want to avoid, I'd say. And I'd nearly argue I'd rather avoid Tyrone more than Mayo right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree with you. I personally think Tyrone are exactly where they would want to be right now. I agree with you. They have the strongest midfield pairing in the country, in my opinion. They have an unbelievable defence, like the Paddy Hampsey, Michael McKernan, Ronan McNamee. They have unbelievable forwards. Derek Canavan's form is unbelievable. Darren McCurry, as you said, you can chalk him down for 4 or 5 points every game. Matty Donnelly still, strutting his stuff up there. They've won the All-Ireland 2 years ago, and yet nobody's talking about them as serious All-Ireland contenders. They're still flying under the radar, but make no mistake about it, nobody is going to want to play them. And I fully believe Tyrone are dark horses to win the All-Ireland again, if not outright contenders. I fully think that they absolutely have what it takes to win the All-Ireland title again. But switching back to Donegal, from their point of view, like if you look at it, remarkably, this is actually a fact that blew my mind when I was reading up on this game. 16 players that were part of the panel for Donegal in the Ulster football final last year were not available for this game, including the likes of Michael Murphy, Ryan McHugh. That's a turnover rate that we only really associate with below Division 3 teams like your Tipperary or Waterford or stuff. Donegal have lost 16 players from the panel last year. And now Aidan O'Rourke is gone as well. The next thing Donegal need to do next season is just bring back a bit of stability into the side.
Yeah, look, I think for Donegal, I think they're just glad this season's over. I think it's been an absolute disaster, I think, as well. I think, look, at the start of the year, the initial hiring process, like poor Paddy Carr as well, in with how that went from too as well, was that, look, I think it probably was destined for failure from the start as well. But it was, look, he's a fella you'd feel sorry for as well, because you remember the first league game of the season when they beat Kerry as well after all the turbulence and everything like that too, and it looked like that maybe they might be all right. And then, look, the wheels kind of did come off the wagon a little bit. There was all sorts of rumors about players not fully showing up for training and everything like that as well. So it's look, there was all sorts of infighting going on as well. Obviously, the whole Carl Lacey situation as well. Look, the Donegal County Board has an awful lot of work to do over winter, and I think it's mostly on them to get the structures back in place and to get like a proper kind of football and just to restore kind of football in the county a little bit as well, and just to get the right people in, I suppose, and just to make sure that some of these issues that are being felt in the county are being dealt with. And I think once that happens, players will start to come back. I think they're looking at a little bit as well. There was uncertainty around the manager, who was going to be the management team. There was the whole thing about the hiring last year as well. I think, look, it was Rory Kavanagh as well, was that he lined up as well to take the role. And look, that whole thing soured a lot of people. A lot of people walked away. And look, I think if they go into it as well, they put their best foot forward and they have a clear strategy for how Donegal football is going to go for next year. They develop a plan for it and they stick to that plan as well. Then I'm sure the players start to come back in. But I think at the moment within Donegal, there's not a lot of belief in the camp at the moment. Aidan O'Rourke, even himself, I don't think anybody expected him, no matter what happens, to continue into next year as well. He looked like he was just a stopgap in there as well until they just get them through for the rest of the season. And look, I think they probably did better, I think, than what they were maybe expecting after initially how their season started, because like at the start of the championship they looked an absolute mess, but they did manage to bounce back in the group stage a little bit too, got some good results. And look, they were well beaten by Tyrone anyway. But I don't think in a footballing sense the season's been an absolute disaster. They've managed to establish Oisín Gallen as their main forward finally after all those years. And look, there is a few tools that they can work with as well. Like there's a few nice players that have been found there as well, particularly like I think Quaylen McColgan at wing back looks to be a really good prospect too. And Jamie Grant in the corner back as well was playing a lot for DCU. He's been developed into the starting role there too. I think they have unearthed a few players, and if they can get those players back next year as well with proper structures in place, and you integrate those new players that they've developed this year into it as well, then look, I think Donegal, it can be fixed. But look, geez, they have an awful lot of work to do to get it in there, and they need to get the right people around too.
Yeah, now we've commented here about it. Donegal interim manager stepped down, surprising because he did a great job. Yeah, Aidan O'Rourke, look, you serious, intelligent GAA man, but he did kind of just feel like a plaster over an axe wound. Like it's not the manager's job there; it's the whole structure. Like Donegal need to uproot a lot of stuff that is affecting them behind the scenes now. Going into next season, because a good manager is not just going to paper over all those cracks. They have to deal with whatever the big problems are behind the scenes. But yeah, now we're going to move on to the last quarterfinal. And Luke, I only have 2 words to describe this one. Classic Mayo. Mayo 110, Galway 12 points from Pearse Stadium. So this is a Mayo side that beat Kerry away from home, nearly loses to Louth at home, then loses to Cork, and then goes away to one of the outright favourites for the All-Ireland in Galway and beats them by 110 to 12 points, having been 5 points down at half-time. David McBrien's goal proves to be crucial. And yeah, just are you even surprised that they don't win a game that they should win, and then they do win a game that everybody writes them off for?
Yeah, look, you know what? I think, to be honest, I'm not hugely surprised with this one today. I think Galway, look, yeah, everybody's saying that they were very consistent, but geez, I was very disappointed with them today. Really, really disappointed with them. I thought in the second half, I thought they were actually desperate in the second half. That there was I didn't really see any real urgency from them whatsoever. I didn't think that there was no real attacking progression. Once Comer went off, I didn't really see anything to their pattern of play whatsoever. And look, I thought Mayo were full value for it and probably should have won by more as well. They seemed to take their foot off the pedal a little bit and try to consolidate their lead a little bit, and that invited Galway back on top of them as well. But like, I think Mayo were a good bit better. Obviously, the first half was an absolute disaster by Mayo, I suppose, as well. I know with the breeze in there too, but like, I think that second half, it was absolute dominance for Mayo. And look, I think the 1 point defeat actually probably flattered Galway a little bit.
Yeah, no. I just think like Galway must, like, because obviously I haven't seen the game yet. I was keeping up to it, with the score updates, etc. I was watching the Tailteann Cup semi-finals, which obviously we'll get onto them in the next video. I'm going to watch it on the Sunday game now when the highlights come up. But it just seems like, how did Galway only score 4 points in the second half? Like, because Mayo's defense isn't the tightest. How?
Yeah, No, look, and I think once Comer went off, there was no focal point in the forward line, and like they were nearly relying on a lot of what in the second half from what I could see was that it was nearly Killy McDade trying to run through the defense on his own, and he was running into closed alleys as well, and they're just being turned over. That they just seem to be turned over the whole time as well. I've been very disappointed with Shane Walsh as well this year, and that like I thought Walsh offered absolutely nothing today, and that like for a leader position, once Comer went off, I thought he had to step up more as well. But considering what he's offered too, but like I thought he was absolutely anonymous today and couldn't get it on ball whatsoever, and kicked a few frees, but then kicked an awful lot of wides from frees too as well. So look, I don't know. I think the big players for Galway didn't really step up. I didn't think that they yeah, I just didn't see any sort of attacking progression from them at all. It is very disappointing considering that they were being tipped as this team as well, that they have this defensive solidity. Obviously, they weren't helped by a couple of injuries to Comer. Sean Kelly didn't look like he was right during the whole game. He was walking around limping the entire way through. But I was very disappointed with them. Yeah, they're quite well set up. But then at the same time, for the David McBride goal, that's the most basic move that you're going to be caught with as well. It's a simple 1-2, and McBride was just too fast, and then he buries it to the back of the net. But like Galway didn't really offer much of that as well. The one time they did have a chance like that, Matthew Tierney 1-on-1 with the keeper, and then look Reeps out on top of him as well and blocks him down. So look, I suppose that's the difference there. But look, it has to be said, it's a disappointing season for Galway that they're already being knocked out considering what they offered already during the year, all the talk about them too. And look, we are starting to get to the stage where look, this is becoming a common theme for Galway that they're just not quite delivering what people think they should be.
Yeah, we have a comment in here about Shane Walsh. He says the Shane Walsh drop off this year is crazy. I don't like the criticism of amateur players, but to go from arguably the best forward in Ireland to this year is crazy. I mean, like, he still has shown flashes of what he's capable of, but yeah, like, he hasn't delivered to the level that we know he can. And for Galway, like, to end the year in such disappointment with back-to-back defeats to Armagh and to Mayo is really, really disappointing. And it's two teams that they're probably that they don't like the most. Armagh, obviously, with the rivalry that happened last year and the scuffle going down the tunnel, and then to get knocked out by Mayo, I mean, must be a really, really tough one to take for them. But yeah, that is the preliminary quarterfinals all wrapped up, guys. So the four sides that are going to be in to face the table toppers are Mayo, Tyrone, Monaghan, and Cork. They go into play against Kerry, Derry, Dublin, and Armagh respectively. So it's going to be one hell of a last eight and one hell of the rest of the championship. I cannot wait to see it. We are going to hop onto another stream, guys, on the channel here now. So we have a separate live stream set up for the Tailteann Cup semi-finals. This one is going to end. If you would like to watch the Tailteann Cup review, do check out the channel now. I'm just going to start that now in a minute, where we will go through the Down and Laois game and the Meath and Antrim game, the two Tailteann Cup semi-finals. But thank you so much for giving us your time on this episode. And until the next one, guys, take care.